stage Liz and Mark from Barefoot Kitchen CIC. That is Liz Homan and Mark Eltringham. Do come to the stage. Can we give them a loud round of applause? Come on, guys. Louder. Let's go, let's go. Thank you. Fabulous. Hello, Liz. Hello, Mark. Hello. You're all good. You got water. Yes. You're sorted. Fabulous. Okay. Well, thank you very, very much for coming here tonight. I really appreciate it. And I would like to give you the opportunity to say who you are, what you do, and yeah.
Yeah, okay. My name's Liz. I'm from Barefoot Kitchen. Before I go into anything else, I just want to very quickly say I have ADHD and I've been working since 5 o'clock this morning, so I'm just trying to settle my brain down a little. So if I start waffling on and it doesn't make any sense, just pull me back in.
All right.
You won't
I got you, girl.
You won't offend me at all.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's a bit overstimulating at the minute. Yeah, so I'm Liz. I'm from Barefoot Kitchen, one half of it. The other half is Catherine, who is poorly at the moment and can't be here. Yeah, and we've recently took up the bakery premises in Launchpad, which I hope to tell you something more about as the interview goes on. Yeah.
Sure. So, fabulous. Thank you. Mark?
Hi everybody, I'm Mark. I do the baking in the bakery at Launchpad. Yeah. So I've just taken over that with Barefoot Kitchen. So I'm kind of an associate. Yeah.
Fantastic.
We're dead good at this, aren't we?
Okay. So talk me through it for the people who don't know. You went to Launchpad. You had an idea for a bakery and a community bakery. Talk me through the process that you went through.
Very long story, very short. We set Barefoot Kitchen up in September of 2019 with all sorts of great plans, and then almost immediately went into lockdown. Within the first 6 months of our business, we lost £30,000 to £40,000 worth of income, which was my side of the business. Catherine is a food grower, I'm a chef, and that's how we work. We didn't furlough anybody, we didn't take any loans, we didn't take any grants, we just kept on working, and it was a struggle, and we pivoted really well, and we got through COVID and everything else, and we've come back thick and fast and more successful than ever.
Can we have a round of applause, please? Because that takes some real doing. Well done, take a breath. Well done. You know, I think it's
a round of applause.
I think it's really important when you've done something like that to actually couple of seconds of acknowledgement and go, you know what, we did that, we got through COVID. How did you pivot?
Well, my side of the business went, and we just got together and said, what do we need? Obviously, as a community enterprise, a social enterprise, our communities needed us more than ever. So we just looked around, what could we do? What was possible? Because if we all look back, nobody actually really knew. And we just did stuff. That's what we're really good at. We just do stuff. And it worked, and we came out the other end of it.
Give me an example of what stuff you did.
We set up community gardens. We went into school gardens to make sure the vegetable growing, everything was happening for when schools went back. I did a lot of stuff online. I did a lot of writing, and we actually did a lot of networking. And I hate doing that type of thing, but we did. And we actually went quite viral at one point as well. We had veg stands and all sorts of things. Just pop-up stuff everywhere, all over the town. What did we do? Oh yeah, supper clubs. Couldn't do them anymore, so I delivered them instead.
Oh my goodness.
So thanks, Mark. We did all sorts. So that's what was the original question? Sorry.
That's good. You've answered it perfectly. Fine. So where are you now
So where are we now? Beginning of last year, that pivot that we did sort of uncontrollably pivoted back, and what Barefoot set up to do originally was happening in front of us. So last year we spent just trying to make plans and trying to get all the work done and bringing in the money. And then towards the end of last year, we set some business plans out for this year. We were approached by Teesside University about the bakery. We've been working with Mark, and it was something we've been talking about for about 2 years. And we met Steve, and we had a good conversation with him, and it suited us really well. It meant we could access TS1 really easily, which is a place that we work in really quite intensively. And it provides us with a really good professional kitchen space as well. so it's not too overwhelming to work in.
It's fantastic. Mark, can you tell us about your involvement with Barefoot Kitchen?
Yeah, so I actually started baking. I left my job. I was working in substance misuse about 4 years ago. I could see the writing on the wall. They were looking for voluntary redundancies in the service I was working in. I was feeling a bit burnt out, and I could see that my job basically didn't exist. So 10 minutes after the email came out saying, "Anybody want to leave?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to leave." So I took a lump sum, and I had a toenail removed. I was a heroin user for a long time, and long story, but basically, something I was thinking you should put on posters: "Don't use drugs, kids, because you'll lose your toenails." But anyway. So yeah, I had a toenail removed as a result of my complicated lifestyle a long time ago, my plan was when I left my job to go off and do a bit of cycling, do a bit of exercise stuff. Couldn't do that because I'd had the toenail removed, and I had a book to pick up from the bookshop in Stockton. I was chatting to Richard in the bookshop in Stockton, and he sells coffee and he usually has cakes in. And there was no cakes. I said, "Where's your cakes, Richard?" And he said, I don't know. At which point the door opened, ping, bell went, and a woman came in, covered in flour, bearing a tray of cakes. I said, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I've spent all morning baking bread." I said, "Oh, that sounds interesting. What you doing?" She said, "Well, we're baking bread for we do a Homan's Kitchen, and we bake bread, sell it in a pop-up shop." I said, "Do you need a hand?" And she said, "Yeah, 8 o'clock Tuesday morning. Be there." So I was. So that was yeasted bread, and many times I tried to bake sourdough. It was the bread that I bought, bread that I liked, and I was hanging around with all these quite cool bakers that had all been baking, and none of them really got away with sourdough. So I think it was 2nd of January 2020. Started off a sourdough starter, and got that going, and that kind of went from there. We got to March. I think it was actually this week, 3 years ago. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but suddenly there was no flour in the shops. There was what I call the great flour drought of 2020. So anyway, I sort of put a bit of a call out for flour, and people who had flour and knew I had started to bake kind of was doing loads of exchange stuff for flour and bread, and it kind of evolved from there. Next step, about 9 months later, I'd started doing some work for another part of the substance misuse team in Middlesbrough, and I was looking for a placement for a volunteer I was working with, and I met Barefoot Kitchen. I met Catherine. I kind of fell in love with Liz and Catherine and what they were doing. I had conversations with them about composting toilets, but I also had conversations with them about bread. And Liz is celiac, so actually can't, so there was a good fit. The bread that I could do, there was kind of good fit, and that started working with the supper club. So yeah, does that tell a bit of the story?
That's amazing! What an incredible story!
Hey? Yeah.
It's amazing. Thank you so much. So Liz, you have a history with supporting food businesses with Barefoot Kitchen. Can you give us some insight into that?
Yeah, Mark, for one, as Mark said, I'm a celiac, so I can't provide the bread side of the business, so Mark fills that in brilliantly, and we're supporting him to become a local food producer. He very much fits in with the way Barefoot thinks about knowing where every single ingredient comes from, supporting farmers, cutting down on supply chains, and ensuring the community consumerism exists. We have a Farm Start programme, which I'm not going to profess to know lots and lots about because that's very much Catherine's side. We were chosen as part of a national forum to be pathfinders in Middlesbrough to create a Farm Start programme, and ours differs very much from the rest of the country. There's veg box schemes and all sorts of things going on. We're taking people through a training programme, a horticultural training programme, right from the very start, from seed sowing right the way through to becoming a food producer. Last year we had a cohort of, I think it was 6. Don't hold me to that. One became just had this passion for chilies, learned how to grow them, and is selling successfully on farmers markets. And she's also an ex-head chef of mine. who'd lost a love of cooking, and we found it again by working together, and she's now set up as self-employed in Whitney Bay, I believe she is now. She does luncheon clubs in care homes. She loves it. But again, very much follows what Barefoot do, locally sourced, all that type of thing. We've got a new cohort started in January. They're a mixed bunch. We've got the guy who looks after our orchard. He has been an intensive volunteer with us for 3 years. He's now the lead volunteer there, which means we can take a bit of a step back and concentrate on something else. He leads the volunteers there every week to manage the orchard of 124 mature heritage fruit trees. That's the term, isn't it? Yeah, and it's a very beloved place and a very special place. We don't let many people in because someone will put a house on it at some point. It is, but they'll put houses on it at some point. They will. But then
do we all need to chain ourselves nakedly to these trees to stop them bulldozers going in?
They're not that tall, or I'm a tall person, so...
Can we do it in the summer when it's a bit warmer?
They'll do it overnight, like they did the Scientific Institute before. Sorry, controversial. So the guy, he's now, we trained him last year, he now sells the fruit on farmers markets and into restaurants, and we've got a group of teenagers who didn't have much to do during the summer holidays. They come and volunteer, and they go on the farmers markets with them and press the juice with a traditional apple press, and they sell that as well. So it's only small scale, but it's important stuff. And it means that orchard is managed, it means it's maintained, and it means it's producing fruit. What he doesn't sell goes out into the communities. And they've taken grafts from it this year as well, which are going on to National Trust properties as well, because some of them are really quite rare trees for this country. There's a Cubbington pear in there as well. You know aware what a Cubbington pear is?
Are we? No.
The Cubbington pear was tree of the year. I think it was a good few hundred years old, and when they built the access road for HS2, they cut it down, and some students took some grafts of it, and we were very, very fortunate to get a graft of it. So that's hidden in there somewhere.
Graft for the non-farmers, is that where you
just literally take a slice, and it's just a certain branch, take a slice, and you've got root stocks, and you just graft it onto that.
So that it can carry on growing?
It just grows, yeah. So, yeah, so we do that.
So I heard that, you mentioned teenagers quite passingly there, like it was, just one of the many things that you do. Yeah. Can you, I believe, have set up quite a few things for youngsters and made a huge difference in youngsters' lives, in teenagers' lives, and a lot of people shy away from them.
I love them, especially the bad ones. I love
them.
I do. The naughty ones, the brilliant. And I love just giving them a knife, actually, and putting them in the kitchen and giving them responsibility. They just love it. Haven't done so much in the last 18 months, I would say 2 years, just because we've just been so busy. But before lockdown, I worked intensively with a youth group in North Ormsby, all under 16. They were a great set of kids. I worked with them for about 2 years, initially through MEMA. And they set up nifty nachos. And nachos was the favourite thing that they liked to cook together and eat together, which is what Barefoot's all about. They wanted to call it doggy nachos, but the parish wouldn't let them. I said, doggy is North Ormsby. Yeah. If you're not from round here, that's what we fondly call North Ormsby, doggy. And they set a little nacho business up, and it was such a shame lockdown happened because they were flying with it. At the North Ormsby Christmas light switch on, I got them a horse box, and they made nachos and they sold it, and they made Mexican hot chocolate and they sold it, and they handled the cash, they made all the food, they packaged it all, everything, they advertised, did all the marketing for it and everything, and the whole community turned out for them. There's a couple of borough players there as well, so we were like blown away with it. And it was great, and they were about to go on to farmers markets, and we were about to set up a youth food market, and then COVID happened. So it's in the plans for next year to continue that project in some way, shape or form, but I think that's going to be through grassroots sports, providing food for grassroots sports with the kids who are not involved but are maybe families members. My family's massive with grassroots sports. I'm the only one that isn't, and I was just like sidelined. So those kids, so that's what I plan to do next year.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Go on. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, no, yeah, me too. Yeah, yeah. So Liz mentioned food miles there. So actually, so March 2020, I couldn't get hold of any flour, so supermarkets didn't have any, and that kind of sort of reinvigorated a kind of interest in getting away from international capitalism and going sort of back to the roots. And actually, a bit of Google found out that there was flour. There was heritage grain growers just up the road in Sedgefield, and then there's people in Northumberland, there's people in North Yorkshire. So I've really kind of latched onto that for my sourdough as well. So getting the food miles down, because that's fundamental to the sort of way I live my life anyway. And getting that sort of locally grown stuff, all the heritage grains, and it's just so the flour I'm using at the moment, I picked up from the farm like 20 miles away, and I get flour regularly from Sedgefield as well. So that's a bit of a passion for me as well. Sorry, I just want to get that in. I forgot. Sweaty Mike, back to you.
Fantastic. So, what is the vision for the community bakery over the next? Can I just clear something up before we go on? Can I come into your bakery and buy bread? Can I just...
At the moment, because we're settling down, because Mark also has a full-time job, so we're taking it slow steps, and I've had a bakery in the past which got too big too quick, and it crashed and burned, and it was a horrendous period of my life, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy of failed business. It's awful. So we're taking it very slowly, aren't we? But you can buy it. It's going to be... I'm releasing it again tomorrow through Launchpad. The last Friday of every month, there'll be a pop-up bakery in the bakery. So there'll be the pies and sourdough bread.
Thank you. So last Friday in the month, everybody.
Sorry. And one of the things, so the thing I do, so I run my baking at home as well. I do bread by subscription, so we're hoping to explore that sort of thing as well. So using, through the university, so people can kind of subscribe, and on a regular, we're looking at sort of systems for doing that sort of thing with bread and pies and all sorts of stuff. But initially, pop-ups on a last Friday of the month in Launchpad, but by arrangement, subscription things as well. That's, yeah.
Fabulous. What's your vision for your bakery over the next 12 to 18 months? Not just the bakery, but everything that you do. Where would you like to...
The next 12 months for Barefoot is absolutely massive. We are going through a massive period of change. Catherine also works now for the Gaia Foundation, which look after the UK, which are the owners, the keepers of the UK seed sovereignty. Which Catherine, it's a dream thing, travelling around the country and saving seeds. It's a lot more important and special than that, but yeah. So we're going through that transitional change, and she's on a contract there, which is benefiting Barefoot on a national level in ways that we could never have dreamt of. We've also, my side of it is, well, Barefoot, we've partnered up with the National Trust as well, and we've just written a business plan for the next 2 years where we'll be working specifically with farmers in Bransdale to create a local food network, a proper one. I hate the word sustainable, so I'm going to say resilient. So if I decide to retire next year, which I won't, but it'll still be there. If we have another lockdowns, it will still be there. There's no supermarkets, there's no middlemen, there's no one siphoning cash off the side, there's no massive reports getting written about it for people to apply for funding on the back of it. It's going into the farmers' fields, talking to them about fair prices, fair trade, and fair share, and that's what we're doing. So that's going to be focused with the National Trust, and then that will be, it'll sort of, what's the word? The bakery will be all part of that. So the pies from the meat supply and everything like that will all be produced on site here. The plan for that is that the selling of the products from the bakery will gradually increase month on month. And then we've got the plans in place to get some kitchen assistants in there to keep that going. And this will be our satellite catering kitchen as well for this end of the town to also cut down on our diesel price, really.
I think Jeremy Clarkson would love you.
Oh, God, don't say that. Oh, no, no. I understand. I'm on the understanding his programme's brilliant, but
Okay, moving on. So, what are some of the biggest rewards of running this community interest company for both of you?
It's difficult to say because we're going back into that period of what we actually set this up for. So we take the COVID years, as we call them, actually it was getting to really know the hearts of our communities and the core of them and the other people within them that made things happen as well. And it was just expanding that network, but not in a professional sense. It was just the people within. I know someone who can do that. Do you know anyone who can do this? It is networking, but in a very, very different way. And knowing those people are doing it are getting really, really rewarded for it in different ways. Now, I would say, how can I explain this? So, when I was putting the business plan together for all of what I've just explained, if I've explained it succinctly or not, was that we've really had to define what our community is within Barefoot, because we found that the term community means a lot of people that sit in the peripheral, strategic, bureaucratic level tend to think that means for free, and it means for everyone, and it isn't. It really, really isn't. It's really important for us to make money, not only for ourselves, but so if we see a need in our community, we can fulfill that need. So we've really worked hard on specifying what our community is, and as a general term for it, it's a food community. It's those farmers, the growers, the producers, if you like eating food, chefs. I won't bore you with the rest of it, but that to me now as a chef and as a person who is, it's my vocation. Food is my vocation for me now to be able to fulfill that for myself.
Passion, right? It's a total passion.
For me to be able to fulfill that for myself and for my business, and to create those connections with other people who are equally as passionate within that community sense, is just it's a privilege. It's a privilege to do that every day.
Well, thank you.
No worries.
Mark?
What was the question, sorry?
What's the biggest rewards for you of what you do?
So I think I'm feeling really inspired by that kitchen space. Actually, anybody who, if you want to come along, have a look. It's a lovely space, isn't it? It's a lovely. Sorry. Yeah. It's a nice space. So for me, I work. As Liz says, I work 4 days. Well, kind of work 4 days a week for the day job. But I want to. I'm feeling quite inspired, quite passionate about getting people in there, getting doing the teaching thing, done some little kind of workshop stuff that's really see people's face light up when they start talking about it, and the whole therapeutic thing of doing stuff. The sourdough is really slow the process, so it's sort of talking around that and talking about food and sharing food and those sorts of things, and thinking about where your food comes from and how really simple stuff, because the sourdough is it's water, salt, flour. That's it. There's nothing else. So those sort of things, but really inspired by the space, and I want to make good use of that space. And engage with the people. So day job, I work in another part of the substance misuse service now. I got dragged back in, but the people I work with, I'm trying to get them interested in food as well. So I take my bread in, and they like eating the bread, and they talk about making the bread, and those sorts of things. But also, so I was knocking up some stupid flatbreads a few weeks ago when I lead on a cooking session on a Wednesday morning, and my flatbreads always look very, very kind of artisan. But there was a guy there who'd just come back into the service recently. Been working in sort of Asian restaurants for years and years and years. Says, do you want me to show you how to do that? He immediately started rolling his flatbreads and rolling them out these perfect circles, and he starts flipping them from hand to hand, and then these beautiful flatbreads came out, and I was like, wow! But that sharing of stuff, so as a space to share experiences, to get people to come in and share their stuff. So I know Liz has been talking to other communities about that sort of thing. So I think it's a real opportunity to get people in and just kind of in a relaxed, gentle, lovely light space to start thinking about those things. So yeah, really quite inspired.
Thank you.
Does that answer
Yeah,
the
I mean,
question?
just that sharing of
Yeah.
different people's knowledge from wherever, whatever their background is, it strengthens everyone, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing a lot of, like just so much of, is the amount of resilience that you two show every day, seemingly, even when it doesn't feel like it.
Pig-headedness most days. To be honest.
Sorry?
Bloody-mindedness most days.
Okay, so can you define the difference between
No.
bloody-mindedness and resilience?
It's not. I'm actually doing I'm not diverting off the subject. I'm doing a business course at the moment with TCI University. We have to do these psychological tests. And mine came out with basically what you see is what you get. And I'm like that in my life, and I am like that at work. I have no reason to hide anything. I've got no reason to creatively talk someone into doing something. It's just what you see is what you get. And I wish more people were like it. It's so much easier to work like that, especially in our industry. What people want on a community level is for people just to be honest. And we do have to go into situations sometimes go, actually, no, we cannot fulfill that. We cannot do that. But let's keep talking and we'll find someone who can, or maybe we can do it a different way, which you do at a business level. But when it comes to a community level, it tends to mean so much more to people when you can genuinely have those conversations with them. And then that creates more and more resilience as well.
And more trust.
Yeah, absolutely. And the skills sharing Mark was talking about is something we've always done. It's something we're very passionate about. This town, we sit in meetings and it's always about the food poverty, the eco shops, food banks, all this type of thing, which I know there's a desperate need for them, unfortunately. It's a terrible situation that this town and the rest of the country is in. But we have fantastic food knowledge and food skills in this town, and we need to be sharing them, because if we don't share them, they're going to die out. And that, I'm not having that.
Okay. That's incredible. So in terms of you, with all the setbacks, all the difficulties, what is it that drives your resilience? What do you think has given you that resilience?
First off, as I go back to what I said earlier, I am doing my passion. I have created my dream job. I love what I do, and getting up every day and loving what you do is priceless. And not many people actually get to do that, but it's taken a lot of hard work to get here. I'm not going to lie. It's just the way I am. If I cannot bear the unjust. I cannot bear unfairness. And to me, food is a great leveller. It's a great equaliser. And you get people sat around a table with food, and we always say that's when the magic happens. That's when everything comes out, and even it's just a slice of bread and some butter, bowl of soup, or it could be an exquisite meal, doesn't matter what it is, people get talking. And that's missing from a lot of people's lives now, so that's what we try and bring back into our communities.
Thank you. Mark, talk to me about your resilience. Like, what skills, what keeps you going?
No, well, not anymore. No. So yeah, I actually have a real issue with the term resilience, actually, because I think organisations always say, "Oh, our staff are really resilient," which is short for we treat them really badly, but they keep coming in. So I don't like the term sometimes when it's used. But yeah, I think I'm kind of stroppy, really. I think and a kind of belief. So people like what I do. I like what I do. And I think it's important. I think in terms of food, I do believe we need to look after the planet. We need to start reducing food miles and getting stuff for as local as possible, using what's fresh and learning how to do stuff and relearning some of that stuff. The energy management stuff. I think about that all the time. I do some of my bread deliveries by bike, and I'm looking at sort of those sorts of models. So. The sort of opportunities, really, which is the way my head always goes to. What's the opportunity, and also a little bit of sticking it to the man as well, because that's always been part of my thing. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, guys, can I ask if there are any questions? Please, let me know, because obviously, if you have any questions, now's a great chance. So, whilst, can you perhaps tell us, the people in the audience, what advice you would give them for setting up a social enterprise or a kick or having greater social impact in this community?
I would say do something that you love doing, so you've always got an interest in it and you're always willing to learn. If it's something you're not very interested in, you don't really want to learn. You will get sucked into all sorts of conversations by, I'm trying to be diplomatic, by other organisations who might not necessarily fit with the ethics of your business. And I would say, come up with, the big key thing for us, we did it about a year ago now and it's been great, is it's not a collaboration document, it's a document we send out when we agree to a contract or we agree to a relationship of any form, and it's basically what you can expect from us and in return what we expect from you. It's not a legal thing, but it's eased so many conversations in the past. Just that we expect to be paid on time, we expect to be treated with respect, we expect our information to be regarded as our information. Yeah, and just, but always keep those lines of communication open as well. And if you know your community, never, ever, ever stop asking them what they need, how you think you can improve. Are we just flogging a dead horse? Are we doing something that's not actually needed? You know, we've delivered sessions before that we've thought has been a great idea, and no one's ever turned up. And it turns out it's just because it's on the wrong bus route, or actually we don't use to might be interested in that, but we're not. Like, not everyone has my passion for cooking over a fire outdoors in the rain. Who knew? You know, but I've learnt the hard way that not everyone loves doing that. But it's just the basics. Just keep talking. But yeah, I think it's just make sure it's something you really, really love doing, and always, always, always be open and willing to learn from everybody in your community.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
No
Mark,
bother.
what advice would you give people?
I can't add much to that really. I would say, yeah, you know, something you love, something, and be open to learning, be open to getting stuff wrong. I'm not an expert baker. I'm learning stuff all the time. I've stolen ideas from people and shared ideas with people, and equally, I will share my stuff with people. I'm not precious about it. I've honed a technique for home baking, and then I'm expanding that into a more commercial setting. And it's, you know, I'm going to get some of that wrong. I'm still playing with ovens and temperatures and humidity and all that kind of stuff. And that's okay, but you know, be open to learning, be open to criticism, be open to the fact, as Liz says, you know, what you think is really, really great might not turn people on, and that's okay. But actually, there might be 6 people who think it's really, really great and engage with them. So, you know, you might not change the world, but you might change the world for 6 people, and that's all right.
That's amazing. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you for all your honest answers and just incredible stories. I'm really thankful for you sharing this tonight. Guys, can we give them a really big round of applause? I got you. Thank you so much. Thank you. That was amazing. Passion, right?